What's up, guys? Boo from Ohhhhhh. Just before the video begins, I wanted to let you know, as far as this video went, you're gonna see just some choppy, less quality than I would have liked in this video. There's moments in this video where audio is a little bit crappy, and there's also, throughout the whole video, going to be, unfortunately, a little bit of brightness issues with the camera. Long story short, the owner/cameraman that's usually filming these videos with me was out of town. I did this by myself that week. There are some things I can't catch on the very small recorder that we use for filming, and this was one of it. I didn't realize how bright things were, as well as Austin at Balmer Peak was doing some work at his distillery when we were filming. When he runs his units, big glycol chiller, air conditioning kind of goes and blasts, so the camera was picking up a little bit of that throughout the video. So we're gonna see a little bit of choppiness. I do apologize for the quality. Some of you might get mad. You tell me, why don't I just refilm these videos? And I hope you guys understand, I don't always have that option. Keep in mind, I'm there at the distillery, 6-8 hours filming these videos. It's not always possible for me to refilm them after I realize something went wrong. It's not always possible for us to be like, hey, let's come in the next day. It's not even always possible for me to film within that month. Like, you're not gonna see any distillery videos for quite some time, probably mid-August from now. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I just hope you guys will understand. Sorry for the quality of this video. It will be better in all future videos. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Boo from Ohhhhhh Distilling, and we're down here once again at Balmer Peak Distillery in Lakewood, Colorado. We have another great video for you guys. So a few weeks ago on the channel, we did go ahead and ferment a brandy. We did a pineapple brandy specifically. You can watch that video over here in this corner if you're curious on that. Today, we're gonna be running it. But we're not just running a brandy. I also want to challenge myself a bit. Because one thing, I'm a pretty, I would say, adept distiller, nothing more. I'm definitely not full green, but I'm definitely not a master by any means. One thing I've never been able to do is carry over a lot of flavor into my brandy. I know plenty of distilleries and home distillers that can, and I want to challenge myself and do it here today. So using our wider range of tools and equipment we have here at Ohhhhh Distilling, plus a little more knowledge under my belt, let's see if we can do it today. I want to give you guys a rundown of basically the equipment I'll be using to hopefully increase my flavor output a little bit. But we got to start by getting things in our still. So let's start by getting our pineapple fermentation in there. This has fresh pineapple chunks in that fermentation. It's been sitting for probably a month. I always let my fruit sit a little bit longer than my other fermentations. So we should get a good amount of flavor already just from the fermentation, but we'll see. One of the ways we'll be incorporating more flavor is through the use of a tool known as a thumper. Now, a thumper is a secondary boiler that goes in line in our distilling system, and basically we're going to be vaporizing, pushing through into the thumper, which is in turn going to reboil everything. Now, because these thumpers are heated through the steam or vapor of the main boiler, this is going to allow us to put fresh solids directly into this thumper. We're going to incorporate more flavor through that process. Now, I did go ahead when I was fermenting and make just a smidgen more than I usually do. We're gonna fill some of this fermentation up in this thumper. Now, even though this thumper is meant to house solids, and we will be putting some solids in there, I get a little bit wary with solid chunks of things. I get worried that it's going to kind of vacuum to this dip tube on this thumper stem and suction me up, create a vacuum. I want to prevent that. Will it happen? I don't really know. I'm not willing to find out. So I'm going to be filtering out the solid chunks of pineapple I have in my fermentation still, but we will be adding some puree and some pineapple juice in this thumper and using that. Now let's go ahead and get our puree in here as well. This is thin enough to enter this boiler without any real worry. A fruit press, if you have a fruit press available, you can definitely press some fruit, put it in there. A little bit of pulp probably won't kill anything. And again, solids may not either, but it's not something I've ever wanted to try out. I don't want to create a vacuum. And as an added touch, we're going to add some 100% juice, pineapple juice. We're just going to use a little bit in here. I think we're still going to incorporate a lot of flavor. And I want to save some of this because what I'm going to try, we're going to do a few experiments, but I'm going to create this brandy and then we're going to try to dilute it down a little bit with some of this juice just for a nice little perfect summer sip. Another way we're going to be incorporating flavor is through the use of this sight glass, which is now an infusion basket. We have a screened gasket underneath this sight glass, and we can put fresh pineapples directly in here and get even more flavor out. Now, two things to know. Number one, thumpers are supposed to sit level. We build them to where this boiler should be at the same height, same base level as this 8-gallon boiler. Guess who forgot to tell our welder that I'd be bringing this in? This guy. So guess what's going to happen now? Now we have to adapt a little bit. We have a cinder block as well as a nasty looking piece of cardboard to bring this up a little bit and allow this to sit in line. What I'd recommend to you guys is if you're looking to incorporate this into your thumper, let us know. Let us know you want this in when we build your thumper, and we'll get it leveled to where everything's going to sit perfect by the time you get the unit with that in. Anyways, small note, just wanted to describe what's going on this boiler. One other thing I want you guys to know is I've got a little bit of a problem here that I'm trying to think through in my head. Now I have copper packing directly in this head. That copper packing is creating small amounts of passive reflux. So basically, some of those low wines, less pure spirits are gonna drop back down. I'm worried that since this chamber is below this copper packing, that some of the flavor, hopefully not all the flavor that I bring in from this is just gonna get refluxed out with that copper packing. I guess we'll have to see. We're gonna run the first little bit without anything in this chamber. That's gonna allow our heads to get out anyway. We don't wanna use a bunch of nice, fresh pineapple when we're in our heads. We don't want that fresh fruit flavor that we're getting from this infusion basket to go into our heads. We want it in our hearts and our tails. So we're gonna have to distill out our heads anyway without that chamber active. We're gonna see what we get. I'll go a little bit into hearts without it and kind of go from there. I'll then add it in later on in the run and see if it's really making a difference. Our final way we're gonna be incorporating even more flavor out is directly through our jar. So we're gonna be distilling out into this container. It's going to be clear. It's hopefully gonna have that pineapple flavor, but a few of those jars, just for experimentation, are also gonna have fresh pineapple chunks directly in that jar. They're gonna be soaking in there, macerating, and over time, it's going to incorporate the flavor from there. So to rehash, we basically have a quadfecta of flavor going on here. We had our fermentation with fresh pineapple chunks. We're then gonna have an infusion basket with fresh pineapple chunks in there. We're then gonna have our thumper filled with pineapple puree, pineapple juice, and a little bit of that fermentation. And then we're going to have some fresh pineapple chunks in some of our jars of distillate. So we're gonna have a lot going on here, and I'm really hoping with all that combined, we're gonna create a very flavorful spirit. The games have begun, folks. Holy hell. The first few drops taste like pineapple juice. We'll see if we can keep it that way. I've never wanted to chug 4 shots before. Honestly, with this, I kind of do. It's definitely got that chemical taste. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to do it. But, God, usually with 4 shots, all that's there is chemical. Really nothing else noticeable. This is pineapple, man, in 4 shots. That's just nuts to me. It's bringing over so much, so fast already. Okay. Our first jar has been collected here, guys. The smell alone, just like pineapple juice. Really can't even taste much chemical in the smell. This is about 16 ounces worth or 500 milliliters. So this should account for all of our 4 shots and a little bit into our heads. So now that we're into our heads, I think that chemical is coming over just a tiny bit more. Now that things are moving through the still, I think it's just a little bit more prominent in there. Definitely still pineapple. In the smell, it's pineapple, but more of a prominent chemically acetone type smell. The taste is bitter and just a hint of pineapple. I tasted it for a second and then it started burning. And so that's all I get now. I'm still trying to figure out the theory with the thumper. My theory that I showed in the last video was, I think this double boiler is allowing some of the heads to boil off, but I could be wrong. Thinking of the science of things, boiling points, where else are the heads gonna go? I mean, at one point they have to come out the still. So we might lose a tiny bit to evaporation, but I don't see any steam. So that's probably false. I think we're still getting the same amount of heads over. They might be cleaner coming out, but it's the same amount regardless. So I think we'll fill up a second jar worth of heads, hopefully be in our hearts by then, and we can begin experimentation, which I'm really excited for. I could just be going absolutely insane from all the moonshine I've ingested, but you know how pineapple, when you eat it, it kind of tickles a little bit? Literally, the pineapple is eating you as you eat it. And I think maybe in the spirit, I'm getting just a little tingle on the roof of my mouth. I wonder if that's something to do with the pineapple. For those that don't know, fruit produces methanol naturally. So usually in fruit fermentations, there is more methanol than you'd find in, say, a sugar or grain base a lot of the time, which is gonna make my cuts a little bit difficult because this thumper is making things so clean that I really feel like I'm already out of heads. I'm gonna need an expert opinion here. I gotta get Austin, my boy over at Bomber Peak. We gotta see what he thinks. I think we might be heading into hearts. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too preemptive though. So Austin seems to agree that he thinks we're pretty close to the end of our heads already. That was pretty fast. I was definitely expecting more than that. Now what he recommended to me, and I'm gonna recommend to you guys as well now, is if you're planning to barrel age your brandy, better safe than sorry. Even if you think you're out of your heads but aren't completely sure, keep things running. For how much you're gonna be able to get out of a full run, it's not really worth it to cut corners. We're gonna go ahead and let this distill out. Might go to the end of this jar and then be pretty safe, pretty sure that we are in our hearts, because when we barrel age this, we don't want any of that heads. That's going to taint a lot. Let's let things go a little bit here, and I will report back when we're in our hearts. We're gonna be adding into that chamber. So here's my plan of attack, guys. The first jar of hearts we do is going to be just how the unit is. We're just gonna get the flavor that we can get out of our current setup. Jar number 2, we're going to start incorporating pineapple into this basket here. We're gonna fill up a jar with that basket active and do a taste test between those. Now our third jar, we're gonna start incorporating that fresh pineapple into the jar as well as some pineapple juice. And I wanna compare all three of those. Hearts time, baby! Let's go. We're gonna call this first hearts jar. This is gonna stay our plain Jane, we'll call it. This is gonna be just how we're running. Let's go ahead and experiment with that second jar. Now remember, with the way surface area works, the smaller chunks we go, in theory, the more flavor we should get. I had a full container here of this Tupperware, and I really thought that'd be enough for all the experimentation we're gonna do. But I can see right now, I didn't do it right. So, as much as I'd like to fill this up all the way, we're gonna go halfway. We're gonna save some for experimentation on our soaking method, infusion method style, directly in our jar. I think that should be good. We're already getting that flavor over, but it goes to show, if this is half full and we get more flavor out of, imagine when it's completely full. Guys, at this point, we have effectively made like 140 proof pineapple juice. It is almost 0 bite, so flavorful with the pineapples. I know plenty of home distillers and distillers like Austin in distilleries that are doing this, and I never thought I'd be able to do it myself. I'm really happy with what we've done here. This right now is phenomenal. I think this is a perfect summer sipper. We're gonna proof it down and it's only gonna get better from there. And we're not even done with all our flavoring methods. Like, we haven't even done anything post distillation. So man, very excited for this run so far. This has turned out so good already, and we're only in the very beginning of hearts. Wait till we get to tails and start releasing all those congeners and different esters that are gonna bring even more of those fruity notes over. Like, dude, get ready, man. I'm so excited for this video. So I feel like we're coming over pretty much like pineapple juice at a much stronger proof. But how much of that is this infusion basket contributing to? Now, like we talked about in the beginning of this video, I think the placement on there isn't really incorporating much. I think that was just our second jar of hearts, which obviously is going to be a little bit smoother than our first jar of hearts because we're still working through our heads a little bit more in there. So I think what we're tasting is mainly just the thumper doing its thing. It definitely can't hurt by having that infusion. It's definitely doing a little something, but again, with the placement where it's at, the copper packing right above it, probably not completely worth it unless you were to put it in a different part in line. Now we can't really put it in our thumper. I can't physically put a screen gasket in this thumper without blocking that dip tube from doing what it's meant to do. So we're gonna have to work with what we got. I wanted to get the most amount of flavor possible, and it seems like I'm achieving so much flavor, we can even achieve more. We can get a custom borosilicate type thumper chamber right in line about here in a future video and get even more than what we're achieving now. So whatever you guys see here, all the tests I'm going to be doing, what I'm saying about the spirit, just keep in mind, we can do even more in the future. It's time for the next experiment here, guys. So for jar number 3, let's dump in some fresh pineapple slices in there. And let's also take some of our pineapple juice, dilute that spirit down with it a little bit. Let's let that macerate for, I don't know, I might get a little bit antsy and try it like 30 seconds after I make this, but I'm gonna try to hold it here until the end of the run and see what we can do. So as we fill up jar number 5, looks like we're beginning to hit our tails. Now we received less of a yield on this fermentation. That's what I want to do with fruit. And really going forward, I think I'm done with the whole 15-20% ABV washes. Like, yeah, my yield's good, but I think a lot of the fatty acids, a lot more natural flavors come over with those lesser ABV washes. I think when you start going up past, 12% or so, I think you start kind of getting those carrying over a little bit more and they affect your spirit. We kept this pretty low and I think we're reaping the results. What we're losing in quantity, we're gaining in quality. So we're gonna continue to fill up jar number 6 here. We're gonna watch very carefully on this. We're gonna be taking even more frequent taste tests because believe me, I've been taking a few more than I usually do on this one. And we're just gonna see where we're at. As soon as we stop liking that spirit, we're gonna pull it and probably continue collecting from there. I definitely wanna use these low wines and these feints in a future batch for something. So we're gonna hold on to everything we're not really fully liking for a future batch, incorporate some of that pineapple flavor over into that. We're sitting about 100 proof in this last jar here. We'll probably be down to 90, 85 or so in this next jar. And we're gonna probably start seeing a dip there. How those tails are doing. Oh no! I spilled a shot down my Denver distillery shirt located in South Broadway. Gosh, dang it. Let me try that again. So a tiny bit watery. It's getting a little bit watery there. Pineapple's still coming over fairly heavily, but it's losing a lot of its its intensity. There's something, and maybe this is just a thumper thing, but there's so much intensity with a thumper. Like it literally coats your mouth with a lot of those flavors. It's doling out pretty noticeably. Again, we gotta follow this rule. I just described it. I'm gonna say it again to you guys. We're gonna continue collecting until we don't like what we have. We're not gonna worry about a proof level. We're not gonna worry about anything at all, except what we're tasting. When you start producing a lot of those worse tails, that's when you're into fusel oils and other things that cloud your jar. So look out for that cloudiness. If you see it, that's done. That is bad tails. Don't drink that. Never seen it turn out right. And cool. We can start another jar. I'm still liking what's coming out at the end of this fill up on this 6th jar. So we'll begin 7th. Now I don't expect more than this. It's probably gonna start to take a turn here. I'm gonna really be watching this jar pretty heavily. And I think almost perfectly right at the end of the jar fill on jar 6, we've kind of cut it there. The spirit is losing a lot of its pineapple characteristic. It's dulled and it's not fully bitter yet. So I think we cut it perfect to where we didn't get any bad tails in here. but it's definitely lost a lot of what made it shine. And as we go into our feints, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm really happy with how much flavor we've been able to bring over to this still. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We have a bunch more stuff coming out, some really fun stuff too. Further down below in the description, you're gonna see our TikTok, our Instagram, and our Facebook. Please be sure to click those links down below and join us, follow us on those as well. Pumping out new content all over the place, some fun little tidbits, some awesome still pictures, and everything in between as well. Don't forget that we are doing an open house with Downslope Distilling on July 20th. You got a few more weeks to get those tickets here. So don't forget to look down below for that. You'll see an event link. Go ahead and RSVP, completely free on your end. Nothing to lose there. I hope you come join us. There's one thing we forgot, guys. Remember this from the beginning of the video? We gotta try it. If you got a shot nearby, please guys, take one with me. Get some fruit brandy, get something flavorful, jam-packed with flavor. I know you got something in your liquor cabinet. Take one with me, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I love you boys, I love you girls. Guys, I just wanna go to the beach, sit down, drink this whole jar worth of stuff. It's so good, it's awesome. That's like 120 proof, I can't believe that. If you guys have any tips on what you do to incorporate more flavor, please leave a comment down below, letting us know and helping us along the way as well, and just sharing with the community. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next time.